What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Justin Trudeau delivers a very creepy message, and I want to kind of go over that because what's really funny about the whole thing is that people have often said the reason Pierre Poilievre doesn't talk about a lot of his plans going into the next federal election is mostly because Justin Trudeau is going to try to copy them. Well, that's exactly what Justin Trudeau is doing here, and it's really, really cringeworthy at best. But it just shows the disconnect that's going on with the Liberal government, because what they're trying to do and what they're going to try to do going into the next federal election is try to convince Canadians that they really have their backs, that all of these things that the Liberal government wants to do for Canadians is actually beneficial. Now, we've bought this product before from Justin Trudeau, and we know darn well that he doesn't mean it or that it's got strings attached to it. So let's take a look at what's going on here, what we're talking about. Good friend of the channel, Ryan Garrettson, tweets out, "This is insane message brought to you by a power-hungry, insane government. Trudeau is trying to convince you that this is a good idea. He claims Pierre wants to make a quick buck, but the Liberals want to take your money forever." Now, let's go over the economics of what he's talking about after we hear his very cringeworthy statement. Let's go.
Here's something we can all agree on. We need more housing in Canada. But that the government should step up and make sure that housing gets built, that's where some people disagree. Take federal lands, land that's owned by the federal government that isn't being used anymore. The Conservative Party leader wants to sell it all off to make a quick buck. That does nothing for you. The federal government owns tons of land in cities and towns across the country. You could build a lot of homes on those lands, so that's what we're going to do. We're offering up that public land for housing. And we're not just going to sell it all to developers, we're going to long-term lease it. See, by leasing the land, we get to work with communities to make sure that home builders are building the right homes, homes you can afford. We've got land, we got lots of houses to build, so that's exactly what we're going to do.
So follow along with me here. Essentially what Justin Trudeau is talking about is you having no property rights. This is the you'll own nothing and be happy. We're going to lease the land rather than sell it, because then we still have a hand in what's going on and we're still making money off of all the people that are supposedly living in affordable housing. It's not going to be affordable. We already know this. We've seen this before. This is how you start things like 15-minute cities. This is Justin Trudeau making it sound like it's so much better because the government's making money on their investment rather than just selling it off for a quick buck like Pierre Poilievre wants to do. I'm going to get a little bit into what Pierre Poilievre wants to do, but where we've seen this fail for Justin Trudeau is even here in Grand Prairie, Alberta, where Kim Bexy tweets out, a representative from the city of Grand Prairie has said that the city confiscated this portable sign that was sending a strong message for Ottawa that says no vacancy. Grand Prairie's full, try Ottawa. This is the big problem, is that it's not a matter of the government having land and not doing anything with it. It's a matter that there's too much red tape. There's too much going on with the permits to build houses, that there is nowhere for people to go in this country anymore. Houses, I can tell you as somebody who's currently in the process of selling and buying a new home, boy, it is a rat race out there. No matter where you're going, it's busy, busy, busy. Houses are high in demand. There's people wanting to fill them, and it's cutthroat. It's cutthroat. If we look over at the Conservatives page on Pierre Poilievre's message last year, it says the problem here is that we aren't building enough homes fast enough. We built fewer homes last year, back in 2022, than we did in 1972 when our population was half the size. Home building is way down again this year, and CMHC expects it to remain this way for the foreseeable future. So again, no matter how quickly Justin Trudeau wants to build homes, that are owned by the government nonetheless, that are leased out by the government. This is how they put their hands in everybody's pockets. This is how Justin Trudeau's friends get more multi-billion-dollar contracts to essentially build affordable housing that we know will not be affordable for the average consumer. It says this is happening because Justin Trudeau subsidizes government gatekeepers. Again, that's what he wants to do. And red tape that prevents builders from getting shovels in the ground and people into homes that they can actually afford. The C.D. Howe Institute has shown that in Vancouver, gatekeepers and regulators add nearly $1.3 million to the cost of the average home in Toronto. In Toronto, the government adds $350,000. That means that over 60% of the price of a home in Vancouver is due to delays, fees, regulations, and taxes. We've seen this when you go to the gas pump. I don't know if you guys had ever seen that graph sticker they used to put on the gas pump that showed you exactly how much of what you pay at the pump goes to taxes, how much goes to the feds, how much is GST, how much is carbon tax. Realistically, like gas stations, people always assume that when the cost of fuel goes up, that places like Petro-Canada, don't get me wrong, they make a lot of money, but the retailer, like the 7-Elevens, the Circle K's, the wherever houses your gas, Chevrons, they're not making anything hardly in terms of profit. The store owners are not making anything on the profit of gasoline. It's all going to the government. It says here that the Trudeau government isn't just protecting these gatekeepers, they're funding them with your hard-earned tax dollars. The bureaucrats at Trudeau's federal housing agency are slowing down financing for builders trying to construct affordable apartments. So what does Trudeau do? He gives them bonuses. Almost $27 million in 2022. In fact, as housing prices have doubled, the number of CMHC staffers taking six-figure annual salaries has grown by 27%. So again, they're looking after their own people. There's no point in building anything affordable. Just keep giving bonuses. That's where all the money goes. The leaders responsible for making housing unaffordable make nearly $700,000 a year. So what is Pierre Poilievre's plan? Require big, unaffordable cities to build more homes and speed up the rate which they build homes every year to meet our housing targets. Cities must increase the number of homes built by 15% each year, and then 15% on top of the previous target every single year. It compounds. If targets are missed, cities will have to catch up in the following years and build even more homes, or a percentage of their federal funding will be withheld, equivalent to the percentage they missed their target by. Municipalities can be added if the region they are a part of meets these criteria. Again, so basically saying that they're going to reward hard work, they're going to reward meeting targets by building houses. Now, where Justin Trudeau again calls this a quick buck, obviously it's not. It's people are saying, well, this is the start of the end. You know, it's supply and demand. If you have more houses, then those houses are going to drop rapidly in value. People who have bought at high prices are going to lose their shirts on these houses. That's not the case. If you look at statistics across Canada, roughly 38% of Canadians own their homes, I believe it was, the last time I checked. Again, that 38% could be wrong. I saw a really funny video that the Clown Broadcasting Corporation put out about it, but they said that for those 30-something percent, Pierre Poilievre isn't just going to come in and stomp all over their investment and say, your house is now worth half of what you paid for it, and then all of a sudden everybody's getting cheap housing. What it's going to do is it's going to stop this overbidding on housing. It's going to stop having to pay well over list price for a house simply just to get in the door. It's going to stop people from scrambling all over each other just trying to find a home. When you've got jobs that pay properly, when you've got homes that are being built and supply and demand are at an equal par, things can get done at a better rate. At least that's more beneficial to the people buying the houses. And Pierre Poilievre selling off government land, I don't see a problem with that. The government owns too much. You have to have ownership of your land. If you're buying land, you should own it. They're going to reward big cities that are removing gatekeepers and getting homes built by providing a building bonus for municipalities that exceed a 15% increase in housing completion. So again, if you're doing what you're told to and then some, you're going to see an increase. You're going to see a bonus. It's incentive. Impose a not in my backyard penalty on big city gatekeepers for egregious cases of NIMBYism. We will empower Canadians to file complaints about NIMBYism in the Federal Infrastructure Department. Where complaints are legitimate, we will withhold infrastructure and transit dollars until cities allow homes to be built. One thing I can say when it comes to not my backyard, and one thing I've noticed, again, being in the real estate market, nowadays, when you look at homes from the 1980s, we'll say, that were built, a lot of those homes were larger. They had larger land lot sizes. They had backyards. They had front yards. And then, as you crept into the 90s, you started seeing those lots get a little bit smaller. It came to a time where they said, well, the average family, we're now going to put into a smaller home. They're too large. We're going to build more houses on less land so that essentially builders could make bigger profits. Nowadays, they have what's called zero lots, which is essentially something I ran into when looking at new homes. Zero lots are the newer houses you saw into the 2000s, where, again, you can stand basically at the side of your home and put your arms out and be able to touch your house and your neighbors at the same time. They basically crunch all the houses together, not saying there aren't large houses built, but you can touch your neighbor's house next to yours with essentially no backyard, no front yard, just a strip of grass to call your yard. And essentially all that's profiting is the builders. So what Justin Trudeau is talking about effectively here is benefiting gatekeepers, benefiting his friends, giving contracts to those who are going to essentially screw over the common Canadian by not only selling them homes that are being leased on government land, but if you don't think that those prices are going to be reasonable, or if you do think they're going to be reasonable, I have a wake-up call for you. Nothing with the government is reasonable ever. And we need more free enterprise. We need more ability to own your home. I understand that when you pay property taxes, when you pay into programs that constitute that technically you don't own your land because you have to get permits whenever you're building, whenever you're doing things. Home ownership is still a good thing, and I think that what the government, or at least what Justin Trudeau is trying to copy on Pierre Poilievre's by saying that this is a quick buck versus an economic plan to benefit Canadians is nothing more than a World Economic Forum idea to essentially make you dependent on the government so that if you can't afford your home, well, they just swoop in and once again, you'll own nothing and be happy. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you agree with Justin Trudeau's statement, or do you follow what Pierre's saying a little bit more, or do you have a different idea altogether on how things should be done? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you're new to the channel, I hope this video has earned your subscription. While you're clicking that button, don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, where I do Friday Night Fringe, my live streaming weekly show, where I sit down with my wife, Mrs. Fringe, and we talk to you guys about everything that's happened this week in politics, some crazy stories that are going on, as well as a little bit of back and forth with the community. We both look forward to hearing what you guys have to say each and every single week, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you here this upcoming Friday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one.